Hello and welcome to episode 2 of my podcast. Thank you so much for listening to it. Basically, I put out episode 1 last week. It was really great. I did a long conversation with singer, musician Zach Abel. You can go and check that out on the channel that served as episode 1. I realized I started this whole podcast and I never really sat down and told anyone what I was doing, why I was doing it. I kind of just wanted to get episode 1 out the gate, put it out there. And then I thought I would sit down maybe later as a solo podcast and tell people who are listening exactly what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So if any of you don't know, my name's James Briefel, hence the name of the podcast. I'm now basically a presenter, video producer, podcaster. Been doing podcasting now for about 3.5 years. Maybe some of you listening know me from Pulp Kitchen podcast, which is a film podcast I do with my friend George, which I absolutely love. And I've been doing that now, as I said, for about 3.5 years. And that's been a really crazy whirlwind roller coaster experience. As I'm sure you know, if you listen to it, we've learned so much and have been on such an amazing journey doing that. And I got into the new year and I kind of wanted to start something a little bit new, something that was taking the skills I've learned from Pulp Kitchen and seeing what else I could do with it. For a lot of you guys, you would have seen that doing that podcast has allowed us to do certain types of opportunities where we get to interview talent. And it's always been in relation to PR and marketing for a very specific film. And these are in the form of junkets. We've really enjoyed them. If you've seen Horses and Hound from the film Notting Hill, it's basically exactly that. You go into a hotel that's either like the Ham Yard or the Corinthia or the Savoy, and they've rented out the entire floor of a hotel. And you walk in, you get given a very specific time slot. It's usually about 4 or 5 minutes. If you're lucky, if you're very, very lucky, it's 8 to 10 minutes. And you get to meet a really cool celebrity, a star of an upcoming film, and you wait in a room with a bunch of other journalists. They call your name, you go and then sit awkwardly outside the hotel room. And then you crawl through this dark cabin, kind of like this, with all these lights and these mics and this crew and this sound guy and all of these poles. And you get to meet a celebrity for about 4 or 5 minutes, ask them a couple of fun questions about their film. And just as you feel like you're getting the thing going, you got to go straight away, you're out of there. We've really enjoyed doing that. And I think it's really like raised both mine and George's profiles as presenters, as interviewers. And I remember George managed to do the first one because I was away for a shoot. And I really remember him coming out of that experience and being like, James, like, it was great. And, you know, I was very nervous before I did it, but now I've done it. You know, we can do this. This is both something I think we'd be really good at. And then I was really like, I think the first one I did was for a film called Lee, and I had the director called Ellen Kuras. I remember doing that and I was very nervous, and it's obviously very intimidating when you go into this room and you meet the talent, you've got to impress them. You're also trying to prove yourself to the PR at the time. I was really conscious to not cock it up. But I remember when I started talking to them, I really enjoyed it and I really got on with this person, and I managed to have a really interesting conversation about the film, given in 4 minutes. But I remember thinking, yeah, I can do this. I really enjoy this process. It's something I'd like to do more of. And thankfully, you know, we've been now gained a lot of trust from PR and from those comms agencies and for marketing of films, where now we get invited to do junkets, and it's just been the best. And, you know, I just recently spoke to Will Poulter, for example, who was great fun. He's promoting a film called Death of a Unicorn, and I just got to ask him a bunch of silly questions about a silly film. And so it kind of made me think, you know, I'm really enjoying interviewing people, but I'm only getting 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes to speak to people. What about if I managed to get the chance to interview people on my own terms? What could I do if I managed to get someone for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, for an hour? And while I definitely don't want to take away anything from what Pulp Kitchen is doing, and I still want to do all of those opportunities, I kind of thought, maybe there's space here for me to do something myself. And what are my interests? And my interests have really mainly been in film and TV, which I do that podcast in, but also in media. If you don't know, I kind of currently have done social media now for 3 years. I've been a video producer in the commercial sector since about 2018, 2019. And before that, I worked in linear television. And I've always had this slightly fun but daunting aspect of my career, which is that it changes every 2 years. Every 18 months, every 2 years, I really do notice my career evolves, my career changes. And I think that's, you know, partly because of me as a person wanting to evolve and progress and do different things, but I also really do think that's a byproduct of media today. I have a feeling if I have a feeling if 20 years ago you said you wanted to go work in television, I really feel, or even like in the 90s if you said you wanted to go work in television, I really feel like you could live your entire career in television and it wouldn't have to change so much because content and media didn't change as much. But what I've noticed is that since I started working in television a while ago now, I think I started working in television like 2015, 2016, is that content as we consume it, as we watch it, the way in which we watch it changes every 2 years. The speed of it changes, the algorithm changes, what we're prioritizing changes, how we're meant to share it changes. And so therefore I feel like my job as I continue to work in media is adapting. And I feel like this is like sort of a next phase of it. So while I'm really interested in film and TV, what I really want to do with this podcast is speak to loads of different people and doing all sorts of different things in media. So Zach's a great example of that. I managed to speak to him all about his music career and what it was like when he got to sign a record deal at 17 years old and he got a check for £50,000 and thought that was basically the gateway into it, realized he wasn't going to keep as much money as he thought, and then he targets his journey of nearly losing his hearing and going on things like Graham Norton and what that experience was like and singing for the King's coronation at last minute. So again, go and check out that episode if you haven't already. I shot an episode last week with @Seema Gets Baked. It's called Seema Pankania. She's someone I met on a shoot for BBC Food a few weeks ago, and we had a really great conversation all about food content, chefs on social media, a space which is definitely just really saturated, and there are so many people doing so much great work on there. And I sort of wanted to ask her, how do you stand out? How do you make content that really lasts when everyone seems to want to do the same thing? And so there I've got someone from music, someone from food. And my plan is to really develop my skills as an interviewer, see and learn what it's like to speak to someone for over an hour. And in order to not burden myself too much with guests every single week, the plan is to have a guest 1 week, just me the other week, a guest 1 week, just me the other week. And the plan is that I want to basically share my insights into the world of media as I've been working with it. And then similarly, I want to speak to other people on the other weeks about their experience and what they're learning and what they're doing and how they're finding their specific sector. Like, for example, music was something I really just didn't know anything about. And I think with media especially, there are so many parts of media that is held at such an arm's length from everyone else. And there's always these questions of like, how do I get to do what you do? How do I get my music heard? How do I get my content seen? And I really hope that with this podcast, I can start to answer some of those questions, ask the questions I'm interested in, and also answer some questions that I think you guys might have. And then, I also want to share stories of my experience working in television, moving into the commercial sector, my experience of like becoming, content creator or influencer, for lack of a better term, be quite honest over like, sort of the ups and downs of that process, what it was like to build a podcast from zero platform, get signed by an agent, get brand deals for the first time. I think that's something I'd really like to share with an audience in a way that I maybe won't do on Pulp Kitchen. Not because I don't feel like I can. I mean, we talk about that all the time. It's almost just like Pulp Kitchen's such a specific fun space for celebrating and, having fun with films. And if by any reason you don't follow Pulp Kitchen podcast, by all means, go and check it out. I do it with my friend George, and that's just like a really fun space. So, I think bear with me as I get the first few episodes out and I really find my feet with it. I'm really, really excited already at the prospect of doing it. It's a whole new side of like content creation that I'm really excited to be a part of. I really do believe as well in the podcasting format. That's something I've also really found over the last 3 years, is that like when I go to these events that are hosted by Spotify or when I have conversations with other content creators and agents, I really do believe in the format of building an audience that listens to you long term. And the value that holds in terms of being able to get them to listen to you when it comes to like an ad read, or like building that relationship that you have over years and years of doing lots of episodes. Like when we do Pulp Kitchen, some of the nicest emails we ever get sent is someone saying, "Oh my God, you're part of my routine. Like I listen to you every single time on this Thursday when I come into work." And I really know that feeling from podcasts that I've had. So that's kind of the intention. Apologies for just like putting up episode 1 without really telling anyone about what this is, but hopefully this will give you context for what it is. It's going to be about media specifically, and I'm going to be interviewing lots of people. So I look forward to getting started. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any questions at this stage, by all means, just comment them below and I'll probably answer them in a future solo episode. So thank you so much if you are listening at this stage and you're willing to sort of come on the journey. I'll see you very soon. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.